This is Islamic Dad here. If you enjoy this channel, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. I'm going to be doing two things for this video tonight. One is regarding a article that I had read, which I thought was really good, so I thought I'd touch on that first. Sorry. It was very interesting. It was talking about the narcissist and the kind of the behaviors and goals that they do through the devalue stage. So let me put it this way. It was this idea that the narcissist, once they are done with the love bombing phase, and they've kind of made that switch to where they're like, oh my gosh, you're not the dream come to life that I thought you were. Now I'm going to start devaluing you. That as that goes on, one of the questions might be, okay, when does that end? And I previously had made the assumption that it would just end at a point where the narcissist would make the emotional discard, and that would be what would prompt the next stage. But in fact, the article is making the argument that what happens is that the narcissist, through the devalue stage, especially as it gets towards the end, is doing so with a specific goal in mind. And that is to make the target lose all resistance, basically be a human doormat, where they have been worn down to such an extent that they no longer complain, they no longer make objections, they no longer try to set boundaries or enforce boundaries. They no longer argue when they disagree with the narcissist, and the target is literally just walking on eggshells 100% of the time. And if anything bothers the target knows, okay, if I speak up, I'm gonna get hell. And it's going to be, word salad, circular arguments, flip the script. And nothing's going to change. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, swallow my pride, and just pretend that I'm okay with whatever's going on. And that, in fact, through the devalue stage, the narcissist has that as the goal. It's not that happens as a result of the continued devaluation. It happens because it is, the actual goal of the devaluation. That is why the narcissist has started down this path, is to get to that point. And it's, for me, it's a bit of a head scratcher, because I know that one of the questions that comes up a lot, which is a very sad question, is how do you stay in a relationship with a narcissist? And the only answer to that is you have to be a human doormat. You just have to let the narcissist always win, always get their way, always walk over you, and just understand that that's the price that you're going to have to pay to remain in the quote relationship with the narcissist at any point. Because once you start fighting back, the narcissist is just going to jump right on you. So the going back to what I was saying with the goal being to make you the compliant, basically human doormat, that it is only at that point that the narcissist can think to themselves, okay, I've reached my goal. My my partner, the target, is now just soulless. They are compliant. They are, malleable, agreeable. There's not going to be any problem from them. I've reached my goal with that. Now I can turn my attention to the, the emotional detachment or emotional discard, and focusing on finding replacement supply. And again, I think it's a fascinating idea because, again, previously I thought that these were all kind of going on parallel to each other. But honestly, this kind of makes sense. I mean, narcissists are weird. They don't think or act like normal people. And the idea that they would have to wear their partner down to a point that they were no longer even a possible issue, that then the narcissist could then be like, okay, now I can turn my attention to all these people that I've been, that I want to chat with more on my phone. Now I can turn my attention to flirting with my coworker, and maybe Bob at the that works at the local store, and reach out to some old exes, and just really pivot to that, knowing that their partner's not going to leave. And so, and this is something that like I saw to some extent, I feel, where once the narcissist gets to that point, they get kind of sloppy and flagrant. Maybe they kept their phone habits secret, but once they feel like you're in that place where you're just the doormat that's going to go along no matter what, and they can basically take you for granted, take advantage of you, they start, pulling out the phone more and chatting with their, possible supply in front of you, or maybe off to the side, so to speak. Not enough to basically cause a problem, but enough they don't care. They're just like, no, this person is basically not going to object and raise any concerns that they have, and so I'm free to do what I want. And again, like, I think it makes sense to do, to get to that point, or for the narcissist to get to that point, and then also do the emotional discard and just be like, okay, I'm not even going to text back to, text my partner back. I'm not going to text hello or how was your day. I'm going to start canceling dates, at the last minute, because I don't care. And that emotional discard really goes into effect. And again, it's one of those things where the narcissist isn't doing that because they have a separate goal in mind with regard to their partner. They're doing that because they don't care. They're just like, they're not going to leave. They have, I've beaten them down. I know they're not going to leave. Now I can really pull back my effort, my energy in the relationship, and focus it elsewhere. And it was just, it rang true for me. I know that with my ex-girlfriend, the covert narcissist, I saw a little bit of this myself, but I think that even more so that she had done that to her previous partner. And again, like, I don't know if you remember me talking about the story. She was with her previous partner for 7 years. And from my understanding, he was an absolute doormat for most of that. And that at the end of that, relationship, that it went from, just, having him be a doormat to the emotional discard, where she was like, okay, I'm going to go outside of the relationship. I'm going to start dating everyone in the state. And that's it. And I know you're not going to go anywhere. So I don't care if you know or not. I know that, like, I can go out on these dates, come home, you're going to be there. And for all I know, you probably have dinner made for me. And just take them for granted to such an extent like that. And then, I mean, at least in this case, and then I'm sure you know the story. That goes along. Narcissist finds, what people call good supply, which is such an odd phrase, but they find good supply. Let's call it replacement supply. At that point, they turn around and they manufacture a crisis, a huge blowout over who knows what. And so that the narcissist can then portray themselves as the victim to all their friends and the supplies and the replacement supply. And also, because they've manufactured this crisis, make it, such a dramatic incident that it's clear that the relationship is over, and that they may say something, to kind of finalize this. But more often than not, they'll just create the crisis and just basically wait for the other person to say, okay, this isn't working out, we need to end things. But again, if that person is crushed and demoralized and devalued to the point that they don't have a backbone, they'll stay, or plan on staying even after the manufactured crisis. And at that point, the narcissist has to basically really amp up the reaction and say, you're horrible, and you're in the case of the person that she was with for 7 years, called him an abuser, which even at the time was so ridiculous because, again, he had no backbone. He would make dinner for her when she would go out on dates with, alternative supply. And so it was one of those things where no one believed her, not even her own friends. But again, the narcissist doesn't care. They're just like, okay, can I get away with this narrative? Can I do this and say this without people confronting me or holding me accountable? And 99.9% of the time, the answer is yes. That even their best friends know that the narcissist is full of crap, and that the narcissist basically, lying, making these stories up. But the friend is like, yeah, it's not my place to say. Yeah, it's just, I wasn't there. Plausible deniability. So, but yeah, getting back to the main point, I just thought it was fascinating of this idea of the devaluation phase having a specific goal of breaking the spirit of the target to such a degree that they reach a point where the narcissist can literally do anything, and their partner, the target, will not stand up for themselves, will not object, will not say anything. And that it's not just something that happens, as time goes on. It's like, no, it's for the specific purpose of reaching this goal. So, I found that fascinating. So I'm glad that it was something new that I could share on the channel. The other part of the video for tonight is that today is kind of the 1 year, I'll just call it the birthday of my channel. And my baby has turned 1 year old, which is wild to think that it's been that long. On one hand, it feels like it's been a month. And in other ways, it feels like it's been 10 years. The only thing that I really want to bring up with regard to that is the trauma bond is so much more nefarious, I think would be a good adjective to use for describing it, because just when you think you're over the trauma bond, it pops back up. And so that was something that was rough to go through. For me, I'm just 13 months out, and I honestly don't think about her that much, and certainly not in the same capacity as I used to. And for me, one reason for that is that as I've learned after the fact about the things that she said and did during the relationship, I've realized that I had no idea who I was with, and that the person that I was with for those 4 years, I don't even know if they exist. They didn't exist at the time. The person that I thought I was with, that was a mask. It was just lies, smoke and mirrors, and that the real person that she was, I just feel so much disgust for between the disgust of who I'm learning she actually was, and the realization that the person that I was with for 4 years did not even exist, has made it much easier to get over. And it's like, how can you be like, oh, I miss my girlfriend, when your girlfriend never existed? That was a performance. It was an act. It was a mask. That person never existed. So how can you miss her and want her back? So, that's helped me. I don't, know to what extent that's applicable for other people, but honestly, I would feel that it is. And that as people have distanced themselves from their relationships, that they've probably learned some pretty nasty things about what the narcissist was saying and doing during the relationship. I mean, I'm not even talking about the smear campaign after the end of the relationship. I'm talking about during. So yeah, it's just been, kind of shocking. And, going back to my ex-wife, the malignant narcissist, same thing. I got over my divorce in months, because she had a midlife crisis. And so the person who I married went to sleep one night, and the next night she woke up thinking that she was a 21-year-old party girl that just wanted to take days off from work and do drugs and party. And it's like, okay, that's not who I married. So how can I feel bad about filing divorce against this delusional person who thinks they're 21 and just wants to party all the time? Like, that's a complete stranger. I don't know who that is. And so I didn't feel really any sadness or sorrow about that aspect, because the person I married was just gone again. So, but yeah, I'm glad that I've had a chance to make these videos over the past year. I know that for myself that they've helped immensely, because it's helped me understand what in the hell happened so that I can process it and come out the other side and be like, okay, it was bad, it was rough, it was not fun, but at least now I understand what was happening to me, and to a much better extent know what was going on with them and how sick and mentally ill they were. Though honestly, I don't know if you can say that disorders are mental illness. I mean, I literally think they're categorized differently, because personality disorders are such a core problem. You can't really just give them some pills and tell them to go to therapy. It doesn't work the same as other mental illness. But yeah, that a tangent on a tangent on a tangent. So hopefully these videos have helped people also along the way. And as I come across new experiences and new information that I feel is helpful to people, I'll continue to make videos for this channel. So again, if you have enjoyed or found these videos helpful, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. Thanks.